Hello, and welcome to the second preview night for the 23rd San Francisco Independent Film Festival. I am Jeff Ross, the founder and director of this here Film Fest. And we have with us this evening a handful of filmmakers with films in the festival and some of the film curators, our programmers of the festival, who will be talking with them about their movie. And if you have something you would like to ask or say, please just put that in the chat and we will get those folks to speak to their film a little bit. So yeah, so Chris Metzler is here. Hi, Chris. And Joshua.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to get started with our very first
everyone.
film, which is our opening night film. We're super excited that Carlos Hinterman is here this evening to talk to us a little bit about the Book of Vision. I think he's tuning in from somewhere in Europe, so it's probably like 4 a.m. over there or something, but I suppose he can tell us in a second. So yeah, so let's get started first off with the Book of Vision.
I'm not conscious of my motives in writing this volume. When can we know that our motives are sincere? Only when our actions are not part of our nature.
This is the most precious book in the collection. There's no book on the doctor-patient relationship like this.
Felt my heart beating, blood pumping vigorously.
The rumors deal with a presumed witchcraft, with a curse that has impeded women from giving birth normally.
They talk to me, those they call dead.
All those things we never said to each other, they're not lost. You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Tell my story and the story of the dead. Give us this soul that we deserve.
He gave credence to that evil woman. He started writing down her visions.
Death is only a veil of smoke. All you have to do is stretch your hand through it, and you will find the ones you love.
How can we be sure that our actions are not within our nature? Only when we travel two opposite paths at once.
So that's our opening night film, The Book of Vision. And if we can have Carlo S. Hinterman join us from Italy here on chat.
Hello.
Hey, Carlo, good to see your face again.
My pleasure.
Well, we all know that you have a special, film here. Can you kind of share a little bit about what inspired you to tell this story?
Yeah, basically, I was studying actually, and I read a book about a doctor of the 18th century, and I understood how different was the relationship between patient and doctor. And so from that starting point, I decided to write the movie. And the idea of mixing the two era, the 18th century and the contemporary war, came from a discussion I had with Pascal Bonitzer, the writer of Rivette. And so at the beginning I wrote a movie that was just in the 18th century, and then discussing with him, we decided to mix the two dimension, and so basically it started like this.
Well, I want the audience to know this is like a very SF IndieFest film. So for those of you that have attended the festival anytime during the last 23 years, when you see this, you'll understand its kind of place within the vibe and sort of film that we often program. Carlo, I know that probably many, there's a Q&A that kind of goes along with the screening, and I encourage folks to check out this special film. I think people will be curious. How did Terrence Malick get involved in the film?
You know, with Terry, I had a long time relationship because my first project, it was a documentary on him. And so we developed a friendship over the time. I worked on several movies of him, especially The Tree of Life, where I did many of the natural shots. And so we developed the collaboration also with the DP Jörg Widmer that worked with me for the second unit of The Tree of Life. And so we started talking about the movie, and we say, oh, it's a very interesting project. And so he decided to be the executive producer, which means that helped me in putting together all the team. And we discussed it a lot. And then it was fantastic because actually, even when we produce and post-produce the movie, we had a lot of exchange. And Terry is the kind of guy that he will never suggest to do something that is close to his cinema. It's really helping you to find your own movie, and it's very interesting to work with him, I have to say.
Very cool. Well, again, everybody, this is our opening night film, The Book of Vision. Carla, are you available to kind of stay for a little while? So if people have any questions via chat, just throw them Carla's way, and we'll look forward to hearing what everybody thinks of the film. So we'll move on to our next trailer, and that's It's Gonna Be Fine. So if everybody can remember to turn off their video and mute.
Actually, I think It's Gonna Be Fine got canceled because the maker could not attend. So if it's not It's Gonna Be Fine, it might be Stories I Didn't Know, which is the number 3 on the list. So let's see what George cues up in the trailer reel. Okay, here we go.
Hi, yes, my name is Rita Davern, and I'm from St. Paul. I'm a settler descendant trying to sort out a piece of land down here called Pike Island.
Who are my people? Where do I come from? And what is my dream?
I grew up with a lot of blank in my past, a lot of unknowns. I never heard anything growing up that there were Indians on the land great-grandpa settled on. I don't care what is in my history. I don't care what's good about it. I don't care what's hard about it. I want a chance to claim it and face it and learn from it.
The entire Minnesota rivers contained villages of Dakota people. We called that area Badote.
I'm gonna find out what the hell happened to the land that my family settled on and how it happened and why.
This is our history, and this is where we are right now. Let's claim it and own all of ourselves, not own just this piece that we can't get over.
When trauma happened, it got passed down, so it's not over.
When people learn this story, it changes them.
Let's get angry and do something. To hell with guilt and shame. To hell with them.
And that was one of the documentaries in our fest, Stories I Didn't Know. And I believe we have directors Rita Davern and Melody Gilbert here. Is that right?
That's right.
Hey, Rita,
Yes.
good to see you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Melody.
Hi.
Again, just for those longtime SF IndieFest folks, Melody actually was one of our first Vanguard Awards. And we were always excited to screen her new work, especially when she delivers. And so this is a really special story, and glad for Rita and Melody that you were able to bring this film with us. What's for those that are kind of considering taking a look at the film, how did you guys begin to work together, and what kind of inspired this journey?
Go ahead, Rita.
Well, I started a film project and I got as far as I could, and then I knew I needed help. because this was my first film. And I happened to be a student of Melody's. And when I got as far as getting a grant, then I went to her and said, would you come on board and help me? And she did.
Yes, I did.
And while I know this film is a little bit different than some of your past films, Melody, how do you kind of see this within the pantheon of some of the other films that we've seen of yours?
That's a very good question. And those of you who do know my work that I do and have shown, I think, all my films at your festival.
Life Without Pain, Whole,
yes.
Silicon Soul, just a year or two ago.
Yeah, I think these, the films that I've done typically tend to be about subcultures and, some people who are maybe on the fringe and kind of humanizing people who, want to become an amputee or live life with silicone dolls. And of course, this film is nothing like that. Rita's journey, and that's co-director Rita right there, really appealed to me in like a completely different way. It was an emotional story about her looking for her ancestors and trying to find out a lot about them. And she just was so compelling to me and very brave. She wanted to confront a lot of the pain and sadness and shame that she has felt over the years and didn't really know what to do with that. And, originally she wanted me to make a film about her grandmother or great grandmother, and the immigration from Ireland. And I'm like, okay, I'll help out on that. But I became very interested in Rita's journey. And really, that's not so far from what I've always done in the past, which is find a very interesting person who has some struggles or is trying to work through something and figure out what that is. And over time, Rita will attest, me hanging around enough and badgering her quite a bit, we got to that point. And I think her story is just as compelling as any other story I've done. I think one of the things I just want to mention real quick, which is that, we all have family stories. We all have, family reunions. We all have family secrets. And I think that is what really appealed to me about this and her journey. And so going with her on that journey to uncover those secrets and figure out what she wanted to do about it. So it's not that far off. It's just a little bit different subject.
Cool. And one other quick question for you, Rita. I think that this film kind of really resonates in this this moment that we're in as a society. What is it that you think, we know what kind of inspired you to make the film, but why do you think it's important for folks to see a film like this?
Well, what do you do when you uncover a part of your own past that's hard to face? And we all have some of that, especially if we're European heritage people. There's things that are hard to face. And I think there's an opening that happens when you decide to face it. And there's just a whole new world on the other side of that that's really thrilling to me. And it's also healing and brings about change in the world. So that's what gets me excited.
Very nice. Well, thanks again for sharing the film with us, Rita and Melody.
Thank you.
Another local film, a great narrative film here, Girl in Golden Gate Park. And I believe we have JP Allen here to answer some questions after we see the Q&A or after the trailer.
I do what I do alone, all right? What you do is limited. I have something better.
You want someone to save you from all your bad behavior.
It's just great to see you.
You want me to
I really admire what you've done with tech and development.
I'm making progress.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. The main lesson I've learned in business is this.
It's like the things I care about are taken away little by little.
But it's opportunity. This is gold rush time.
And I found drugs in your car.
My car?
Is that what this is about?
Hey, JP, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how you doing?
Really good. I'm glad that your film followed Melodies. You're another alumni of SF IndieFest, and we played one of your first features, I think, a good while ago. And so I'm glad you're back here at the festival. You've been making movies for a long time in San Francisco, and what I like about them is that they are always like the back streets and the neighborhoods that aren't on the tourist path, and the, you know what I mean, the sort of like the real people who live here. And you even managed to do that in Golden Gate Park, which is like known throughout the world as a destination. Yet your scenes are almost always in some path off to the side, where you set your characters to have a conversation. I just sort of love that. It's like not the big, grand parts of Golden Gate Park, but like the parts that we all use. I thought that was really cool.
Hey, thanks. And by the way, thanks to you and SF IndieFest for continuing to promote independent film all this time. Really important, especially hard to do during the pandemic. So thank you.
Oh, this has totally thrown us for a loop, as you can imagine. Like we're used to being at the Roxy Theater and having parties and all this stuff. And but it is cool that we were able to show your film here. If nothing else, it's being seen by people who don't just live in San Francisco. So, I think you're getting a lot of audience who are tuning in from other parts of the country and other parts of the state. And I think that's really great. I mean, it's the one silver lining of this is that I think your film is getting seen more than just by folks, and folks we have, that regularly come to our fest.
I agree, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
So do you want to tell us something about, I mean, the foundation of the story that, you can see in the trailer, it's like someone who is having a hard time keeping them settled in San Francisco, and how tough it's been for all of us for the past, 2 decades, really, but you take it and make it a personal story about this one person, and then 2 persons, and then the 3 persons. I mean, was this based on any real life stories that you're familiar with? Or someone that people?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just like you said, that so many changes have been going on in the city for quite a while. And we've just been watching it, absorbing it, and then just trying to hold on to who we are. But there actually are some friends that I have who were evicted from their homes. There are some people we've known who've been in some extreme situations, and they were part of the inspiration to try to create, an interesting mystery about that kind of situation. So it definitely does hit home for us and for some of our friends.
Yeah, I mean, I love the revenge fantasy aspect of it. Like, don't we all wish, those of us who got run out of the city to Oakland or wherever we've ended up, it's like, oh, if only.
Yeah, we've heard that too.
So that's great. And then your actresses are amazing too. Were they all cast local? Were they local?
Absolutely,
local?
Yes, they're local actors. We had several hundred people audition for it, and they just won the roles. They did a great job, so we were proud of them.
Yeah, they really did. And I assume you shot this before the pandemic, but it must have been right up until.
Yeah, the last shot we had, the last major shot we had was in February a year ago, right before everything hit. And then we did do one pickup shot in the summer where we had auditions out in the park, and it was kind of crazy with masks and everything, but it worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should for sure put your website link in the chat so that people can see not just this film, but all the your sort of repertoire. You've got 6 or 7 features under your belt right now, something like that.
This is our 10th, Jeff. Yeah.
10th feature. Yeah. It's been a lot. I mean, you're so prolific. It's amazing.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'll do it for sure.
That would be great. I think people would dig seeing some of this other work, and like, so I definitely applaud you for keeping on, with putting out so many movies frequently and working with local talent. It's just amazing.
Hey, back at you, Jeff.
Thing.
Appreciate you being
So
here.
you guys check out Girl in Golden Gate Park at the fest. Tell your friends about it, and yeah, this is a great local film to check out. I'm gonna pass the mic over to Josh Moore, who is going to come in and introduce some of the short films in our festival this year. We did get a question from Lucy asking about the documentaries. So Lucy, and any folks who are new to IndieFest or DocFest, so IndieFest started out a while ago, and we played narrative features, documentaries, short films, animation, kind of everything. And then we broke off some sidebar programs, and that's where DocFest came from. So yes, we do just documentaries at DocFest. We do just short films at ShortsFest, just genre films at Another Home Ed. But IndieFest is sort of all those things. So you'll definitely find docs and narratives and shorts and animation in our festival. And I think there's some animators here on the call today. So you can meet some of them just a second from now. What is the first one we have? Oh, Bunkers. Yeah, another local film. That's great.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Joshua Moore. I programmed the shorts for IndieFest this year. Some of you may also know me from the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival, where I also program. And we're going to start with a film called Bunkers. And this is part of our Shorts Program 1, which is animated shorts. And we have 5 shorts programs in the festival, different genres and tones in each program. And we also have shorts paired with features as well. So be sure to check those out in the catalog. So let's roll Bunkers, and then we'll meet the filmmaker.
Nobody knows for sure where golf came from originally. They say it's from Scotland. You see, Starlow on sourdough found this 1,000-year-old coals in the jungles of San Francisco. Now this little story is about Starlow learning the rules of golf, and in particular, bunkers.
All right. Let's welcome Oliver Ryan Anderson. Welcome, Oliver.
Hi, thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah, our pleasure. Oliver's a local filmmaker, and as you can see by that trailer, this is a very creative and fun and stylish film. And who would have known a film about golf could be so bizarre and funny and awesome? Tell us what inspired this.
Oh man, well, thanks, Josh, again, so much for having me. So it was like February this in 2020, and COVID was just sort of creeping in, and golf was top of my mind. I was in Scotland in 2019, that November, for the Solheim Cup, and the conversation that was going around was, how can we grow the game of golf? And I don't know how many people know that golf really does so much for the world. No sport contributes more than golf, and it really moves the economy in so many different ways. I was really concerned. My wife was furloughed pretty early on. My family, a lot of my family works in golf, and so it was sort of like, how do I make the rules of golf something so boring interesting, and maybe I can make a business case so I can continue to do this again, because I really wanted to. I'm a big Goonies kid, Goonies fan. So I have this other story I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it because really the business case came to the situation. So here we were. I saw this opportunity. I wrote it, did a storyboard, and started shooting it. And then next thing you know, it was June, and I was done. And I was like, no way, I finished. Well, to a degree, finished. And so he, submitted it, and then started getting into film festivals, and and spreading the great word about golf. And it's created just so many wonderful relationships between all different generations, and just so thankful to have this opportunity to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And for those of you who don't know anything about golf, you don't have to enjoy this film. I haven't golfed in quite a while, but I do enjoy the game when I get to play. But I don't think I'll look at the sport quite the same way after your film, which is a real testament to its charm. So I hope everybody can check out the program with the animated shorts. There's a lot of great stuff in there, and thank you so much for being here, Oliver.
Thanks for having me.
And now let's take a look at a film called No Single Origin, also a local filmmaker. And this film is going to be playing in shorts program number 2 called Stories of the Street. These are doc shorts. Let's go ahead and roll that.
How do you describe Meg in a few words?
But now I can get Meg and me.
And Lebe is a jokester. He loves to have fun. And then I think Batul is one of those people that you very quickly can sit and have a really deep conversation with about life. It took maybe that simplified immigrant experience that I had in my mind and really opened my eyes to the complexity of what it's like for someone who wants to call this country home.
I was nothing before the United States. I was hopeless, no identity.
I kind of grew up with this very inward look on life here in the United States. I had no reason to really consider things beyond myself.
We as refugees or immigrants in general, when we know that we are going to be resettled in the US, you have a lot of high expectations. It's not as easy as we thought it would be.
The American life is so hard.
Getting to know people who lived as far away from me around the world as possible, and seeing how very often they're making decisions based on the same things that I do. They're making decisions based on who they love, where they want to go, trying to provide a better future for themselves, for their families.
I want to give her opportunity, so much opportunity, because I know what is to be a stateless.
If we don't go through the experience or be in someone's shoe, then we would never really understand.
I began to realize that the experience refugees had in coming to the US, that was only the beginning of a lot of the challenges that they would face.
Finding a job was the hardest thing and the toughest for my life.
At that time, I had some friends, and one idea we had was to create a cafe.
Sometimes the people just come, even they don't drink the coffee. They just want to help refugees.
1951, he's very helping in my life.
I felt like I belong to a community and I can be fully myself.
And this is the thing, as a human being, what else you can achieve? Love, spreading love and being nice to each other.
Okay, please welcome Alejandra and Francisco Alcala, a father and daughter filmmaking team, local Bay Area filmmakers. Welcome. Is Alejandra joining us?
No, unfortunately she cannot be here, but so I'm representing both of us.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So your film is playing in the Doc Shorts program, and tell us how did you find 1951 Coffee, and what propelled you to tell the story of what they do? It's such a timely story, held I think put together with so much empathy, which I really responded to. So tell us how that came together for you.
Okay, so let me start by saying that my daughter Alejandra and I founded Home Storytellers, and what we do is to tell really amazing stories of refugee self-reliance. And we are doing this in different parts of the world. We did a film in Mexico, and so in at the beginning of 2020, we had a plan to do a film in Malawi, in Africa. Unfortunately, the COVID situation didn't allow us to do that, so we had to stop the plan that we had for the production in Malawi actually in April. And at that point, we didn't want to sit down and do nothing. So we heard a beautiful story of a man from Tennessee, from actually the rural areas of Tennessee, that had transformed his life and started helping refugees. And this man is a dog. And so we called Doug, and he explained that there was 3 coffee shops in the Bay Area, and his organization was training refugees to become baristas, and some of them would be working on the 3 coffee shops, and some of them would go to other coffee shops in the U.S. So we just loved that story, and told Doug that we couldn't do it physically, but we could use technology to do Zoom calls, and we decided to go ahead with the project. We started in April, and we launched it in September.
And has the film gotten to be seen by everyone in the organization? What have they thought of it? Have they used it to spread the message of what they're doing more?
Yeah. I mean, it has been showing in several places. Actually, Starbucks did a screening with employees, and wow. So for us that was a really great thing, because they are also employers of some of those refugees that are trained by 1951 Coffee. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's being used as we speak to spread the word, and hopefully get more support for 1951 Coffee, so they can continue doing that amazing job.
Yes, excellent. One more question. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like working with your daughter on films, to have that father-daughter relationship while making films?
I am the luckiest person in the world, because I can work every day with my daughter, and this couldn't be possible if we were not working together as filmmakers.
That's wonderful to hear, and congratulations on the film. Be sure to check out No Single Origin, which plays in the Doc Shorts program. And let's see, and then we're going to show another clip, and we're going to watch Metro 6. This is from Jeff Hecht, a local filmmaker, and it's in the animated shorts program, Shorts #1. So let's roll Metro 6. Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So I love your film, and how when I used to live in San Francisco, I rode the bus every day to work. I'm in Oakland now and was BARTing, so just spent a lot of my life on public transit. And your film is very relatable. And just when you think you kind of know where this film is going. It takes you into some very unexpected and I think kind of moving and emotional places as well, which I really love. So tell us a little bit about the intent of the film. How did it come together for you?
Well, I was influenced to start in the first place just because I went to school for animation in San Francisco, and going to school there's all these pictures of people that worked at places like Pixar or things like Star Wars. And when I finally graduated, it became pretty clear that I wasn't one of those kids. If you fast forward to 2009, instead of working on like lightsaber fights or imaginary worlds, I was essentially working on pictures of cell phones just rotating in 3D space. I was essentially just working on the next Samsung. And I had a colleague at the time that he was taking public transit, and he would talk about his daily adventures, just getting to work. And that was a callback to my childhood growing up in San Francisco. My mom worked something like 15 different jobs, and I started riding public transit alone by the time I was 8 years old. And being exposed to so many different people from different backgrounds, ways of thought, sexualities, races, professions, all in that small space, I just felt like that shaped me for who I was, who I am as a man now. And I never met my father, so to a certain degree, the people of public transit and the city of San Francisco just helped raise me. So I ended up quitting that job and started working on the film.
How long did the film take you to make, all in all?
Well, I quit that job in 2009 and I started working in 2010. During the same process, I actually started a company and ultimately sold that company. So this was a side project that I worked on for 10 years. We started production about 2016, 2015. So the actual production of it took about 5 years, and 3 years into production, kind of hit a wall where we only had about a third of the film done, and was incredibly fortunate. When I went out to crowdfunding, it didn't work. We ended up actually at the same time we were not directly going against, but Hair Love ended up becoming the highest funded short film in the history of Kickstarter, and we were out at the same time. So crowdfunding just didn't happen, and several months later we got hooked up with a online platform for remote collaboration called Artella, and we got featured on that platform. That connected us with artists across the world. We actually had 78 collaborators over 17 countries, Africa, South America, various parts of the US, UK, India, Italy, it's Canada. There's just way too many places for me to possibly name. But in 2 years after being on that platform, we were able to finish the film. So 10 years total, but 5 years of production.
Right. And are you working on another project now? Another short?
Yeah, I started to think about the next one. I think I'm looking at a relationship piece, which there's been plenty of those, but I think in animation it could be done in a completely different way. I think if you look at different mediums like charcoal, 3D animation, watercolor, etc., that could very well speak to diversity. And if you really think about pushing characters really far, think about the yin yang symbol. If you look at it like in a different way, that could be I don't know, a busty woman and a very beer belly type man. And when they come together, they embrace. My mom used to have this jacket where it kind of felt like they just ran out of material. There was just enough to make an arm, or just enough to make like the chest material, the back, and the other arm. And I used to call that the chicken chow mein of jackets. And so I just like the idea of maybe making the chicken chow mein of animation.
Sounds great. I'm sold. I hope we don't have to wait another 5 to 10 years for it, but if that's what it takes to make it the way you want, I understand.
Yeah, I think it just depends on, we all have day jobs, so
yeah,
it depends on how much time I get to do it dedicated.
Yeah, well, thank you again for making this film, especially, and sharing it to the world. Thanks for being here. And for those of you watching, be sure to check out Metro 6 and the Animated Shorts program. And let's watch now a clip from a film called The Bed. And this is in Shorts program number 5, One of Us Cannot Be Wrong. These are a collection of dramatic shorts.
Tu dicevi che ti piacevano le mie mani. Tu decías que te gustaban mis manos. Io dicevo che mi piacevano i tuoi nei. Yo decía que me gustaban tus lunares. Noi dicevamo que ci piaceva il mare. Nosotros decíamos que nos gustaba el mar.
Adri, yo voy a extrañar tus chicles pegados por debajo de la cama.
Io dico una bugia quando sbadiglio. Io dico mentiras quando bostezo. Tu dici una bugia quando non mi guardi. Tu dices mentiras quando non me miras. Noi diciamo bugie. Nosotros decimos mentiras.
Welcome, Daniela Abad. Thank you for being with us. Can you hear me?
Hi.
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 Congratulations on your film. I really found this to be a very original film about relationships. It's funny, we were just talking with Jeff, the previous filmmaker. He was saying that he wanted to make a relationship film in animation, and I love how you use this object of the bed as kind of a central force between this couple. Tell us how this idea started for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And excuse me, English, you know. So the idea came, I don't know exactly. I don't remember. I wrote the script many years ago and just got to do it a couple of years ago. So I think in this time I was thinking about relationships and why they don't work, and how there is this thing about communication. When they don't work, you start not to be able to communicate. And so in this film, I try to use the bed as something that stuck the vision, that something that don't allow each other, don't allow the guy and the girl to see each other, and in some ways kind of a metaphor. They can communicate, and they also don't speak the same language, so they cannot communicate in this way as well. And I tried to use the bed also, as you said, as a metaphor of something that it's that stucks, and something that that well, it's a place where when you it's a place where you start maybe a relationship and where you end it.
Right. Yeah, very well said. You mentioned that you had written the script or the idea several years ago, and then it took you a while to make the film. I'm wondering, did anything change in the writing when you went back to the script and decided, I want to make this film now?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I did 2 documentaries. So this changed a bit my vision of films, and so when I get back to this script I wrote actually in the university, I found it was very strict. Like, I tried to do something more free in the writing. And also I changed a bit my idea about drama, about dramatic things. And what I tried in the shooting and also in the writing was I tried to focus in a moment that it's not very interesting for films, that it's I don't know if you can say it in English, like a dead moment, like when I tried not to focus in yelling or in all the crucial moment when you broke a relation, when the relationship actually ends, but try to do something about what happened when you're sure the relationship had end, and what happened in that moment. And normally nothing happened, actually. I mean, what happened, it's like a strange feeling, like an ending feeling.
Yeah, it's a very specific moment in time in a relationship that I think anybody who's been in a relationship has experienced something similar, and I think that that's the power of the film. It has that kind of universality that we can all relate to. So thank you again, Danielle. It's a beautiful piece of work. I hope everybody watching can check it out in Shorts program number 5 of dramatic shorts called One of Us Cannot Be Wrong. Thank you for being with us. Our next film, the filmmakers couldn't be here. It's called The Poet and the Plant. It plays in Shorts program number 4. Comedic shorts called Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye is the name of the program. Jeff, were we gonna still run the clip for that, or did you want to go right into the next one?
Yeah, it's on the reel, so we're gonna play a clip
great.
for The Poet and the Plant, and then we'll just go right into If We Smarten Up.
All right, sounds good.
The trouble began when the man decided he didn't want to be lonely anymore. So he went to the flower market. They told him a staghorn fern would help. His plan had worked. But then, winter came.
So that was a clip from The Poet and the Plant. And this is a very creative film that is narrated from the perspective of a houseplant. So it's a very original idea and very funny and moving. And that is in Shorts program number 5. So make sure to check that out. And our final clip, I believe, of the evening is called You'll Make It in Florida. This is another film in the same Shorts program.
Actually, there's one more after.
Oh, one more after. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
This is in Shorts program number 4 of Comedic Shorts, and we have the filmmaker with us. But let's roll the clip, and then we'll talk more about that and meet the director.
Și? Nimic. Pe unde ai căutat? Peste tot.
Ați găsit ceva?
Zău așa, Maria. Dumneata nu ești în situația de a face mofturi. E de preferat în viață să privești realitatea în față. Uită-te la dumneata cum arăți.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I went out of order. What you just saw was If We Smarten Up by Larissa Faber. Thank you for being here with us, Larissa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing well. So tell us a little bit about where this idea came from. I know from the trailer, it leaves a lot to the viewer to imagine what happens, and we obviously don't want to give too much away, but maybe you can set up a little bit about the story and how this idea came to you.
Yeah. The story is based on a real life event and a real person, Maria, who used to live in the same apartment block as my grandmother in Bucharest. And I was told this story by my mum about, I think it's like a decade ago. And it gripped me instantly. And I felt it was both, a personal story of this woman and kind of a metaphor, a larger story about Romania, and how the country had moved on, or like the post-communist society, and a country now, or at that time, entering the European Union and all the changes that came with it. And it's interesting that quite a few filmmakers tonight have spoken about the time it took them to make their films. And this film had sort of a similar journey from the moment I first heard the story to then writing the first draft, finding the producers, finding the actors. It sort of took me, quite a while. I think it was like about 7 years from the moment it was in my head to getting it made.
And I'm always fascinated by those stories when it takes so long to create something, and that the idea that you originally have is still, that you're still passionate about it, that you don't lose the passion through the years. What was it about this story that always kind of stayed with you and made you feel like you have to make it?
It was the image of that old woman, of this elderly woman who at the end of her life finds herself living in a broom cupboard, and it's so mundane that it's so nothing out of the ordinary for the environment in which she's living in. It was I mean, it was something that was so kind of heartbreaking and shocking and utterly devastating to me that I couldn't let it go. And there is a very weird sort of, I think, tragic kind of humor in her story.
And she gives such a great performance. How did you find her? What was the casting like to find her to play this part?
I was really lucky. It was just a stroke of luck, because one of the actors in the film, he suggested her, Coca Blos. She's quite a really well-known actress in Romania. She's very prolific, and it was thanks to this other actor, Adrian Titien, that I got to meet her, and that she agreed to be in the film. And it was sort of one of these moments where you meet someone and you instantly click. I didn't have to explain the character or the story very much to her. She instantly got it, and it was that's just the most beautiful relationship, isn't it? When that happens,
Sure, it really shows too. It's such a moving kind of meditation on aging, I think, and for all of the viewers, when you watch it, you'll, I think, hopefully, if you're young, think differently about those that are older than you. Thank you so much, Larissa, for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
And Larissa's film, If We Smarten Up, is playing in Shorts program number 5. And I hope everyone is able to see that. And now we will see the last clip. And this one is from the comedic shorts program, Shorts number 4, called You'll Make It in Florida.
For your safety, remain seated with your arms and legs inside the vehicle.
I figured if you can't come to Florida, why not have Florida come to you?
That, doesn't sound safe.
And let's welcome Phil Charnack, the director of You'll Make It in Florida. Hi, Phil. How are you? Let's see. I think you're on mute.
Oh,
There you go.
can you hear me now? Can you see me
Yes.
now? Okay.
Can see you
Thank
and hear
you.
you.
Great. Thank you, Jeff and Josh, for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. That's the first time I had seen your trailer, actually, which I can't wait for people to see this movie. It's so original and bold and unique and special.
Thank you.
And I'll start off by asking, why Florida?
Well, I mean, for starters, I guess it's where I grew up, spent the first 20 odd years of my life. So I would always wanted to make a film that reflected my time there. But this, again, like many other films that we've discussed previously, this is sort of long in the making, long percolating in my brain. And it only it's been long in the making, but came into focus in the last few years. And I wanted to make a film that was reflective of my time there, but not necessarily super literal or biographical, more reflective of the things I saw and experienced there. So I decided to combine the landscape of suburban Florida with the things that I grew up watching in my sort of unique upbringing, because I was the child of Russian immigrants. So my view of American culture was I was maybe a little more sensitive to things that I saw on television that reflected American life or American values. So I decided to take the things I experienced, like watching old Disney films like Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And then growing up in Florida, we would often travel to places like Epcot Center. And I feel like the unique tone and just feel of Epcot Center really left an impression on me, because even years later, I had always thought about nothing I'd ever experienced, nothing ever felt the same as the tone and the sort of at once whimsical and frightening and interesting tone of Epcot Center. So I wanted to make it. I decided when I was making this film, I thought, what if I made like an Epcot ride version of my experience in Florida? So I decided to I wanted to feel like reminiscent of a lot of different things, but not necessarily be like a pastiche or parody of one specific thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a vintage vibe, but
Mm-hmm.
not in a way that you can completely place where and when it's happening.
Yeah.
Besides being in Florida, of course.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
so how did you find some of the imagery of your film?
Well, aside from the animated parts of it and and like the lo-fi effects, which mostly was I did on my own. Like I tried to recreate the sort of handmade feel of a lot of those old films. And I wanted to really feel like it was run through an optical printer. Like we put a lot of stress on the film, and to make it feel like these effects are in the pre-CGI era. The Floridian imagery was all shot by me in my hometown. For the most part, there's a few aerials that we borrowed, but that was all.
Yeah, it really looks like old footage.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it was honestly that footage was shot even before I finished the script of the film. So I went to Florida kind of looking for inspiration, went to my hometown, and I, of course, filmed hours and hours of footage of the endless Floridian suburbia that I grew up in. And then, of course, the flora and the fauna. That was really me kneeling and crawling between all those flamingos and shooting those alligators and on those 100-degree, 100% humidity days. So the footage that eventually became my inspiration ended up being part of the film. So
yeah, and I really love the tone of the film too. I think Florida is often kind of the butt of a lot of jokes.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. I wanted to
Florida man meme, as
right.
most of us know.
I wanted to like not go for that low-hanging fruit, because I mean, yes, you're right. Florida is ripe for ridicule, and probably rightfully so. But I think to me, I thought it would be interesting to go the opposite direction and show Florida as like this idyllic paradise, gently satirize it in that way, showing it as like this wonderland of easy, perfect living. So
exactly, yeah. So I hope all of you watching at home can discover Florida through the eyes of Phil. It's unlike you've ever seen it before. So thank you again for being here, Phil.
I appreciate it.
And that film is playing in Shorts Program number 4. So I think is that was the last clip?
That is the last clip. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. This was just a handful of the 80 films playing in this year's festival. Josh, I think you were responsible for about half that number. So I hope that this was something of a highlight reel of some of the shorts that are playing in the 6 shorts programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt like we have an abundance of riches in all of the shorts, so it made my job incredibly easy in that regard. Uh,
Cool. All right, great. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the films in the festival. And yeah, next time live in person, I hope, at the Roxy. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.